Reading books in foreign languages is honestly one of my favorite things. There's something so magical about picking up a story and just glancing at those beautiful pages full of words in a language that was once completely foreign to me. The idea of not just the journey that has been written into the pages for the intended audience, but also all the additional twists and turns and trials and tribulations and moments of doubt and moments of triumph that I will experience simply due to the additional challenge of reading it in a foreign language. I love how so many of the things that I find fascinating or even hilarious when reading these books in foreign languages, they're things that probably would inspire neither laughter or interest in a native speaker. They would just be the language the story is being written in. But to me, they inspire those things. I laugh, I find them fascinating, and it's just because I'm so enamored by it all. I'm paying attention to the way things are being expressed, to the structures that are being used, to so many things. And so when I read a book from Marc Levy or David Fuenquinos and the characters are interacting and engaging, I find myself laughing out loud, oftentimes just because I find it really funny, the way that ideas are expressed in French, or the way that French people use a sort of dry humor or irony or all kinds of things. When reading a book in Japanese, I'll find myself just with this overflowing sense of joy as I'm almost surprised myself at just being able to dance across the pages of these books that are just covered in these interwoven scripts of hiragana and katakana and kanji woven together by those Chinese characters that to another person would just sort of look like a bunch of lines on a page, but yet I can derive not just meaning but also beauty from those pages, and that is so satisfying. And that's why I'm very excited today to share with you that I'll be reading my very first book in Mandarin Chinese. It's this book here. It's called 这些人那些事. And this was recommended to me by the owner of my favorite Taiwanese bento shop in Oakland, California, where I used to live, and I absolutely adore the owners of that shop. They're such wonderful people, and we went through a whole bunch of criteria that I was looking for, something that would be considered light reading, for a native speaker, something that's not too challenging, but still something very authentic that a native Mandarin speaker would really enjoy. And so this is a collection of short stories, and the owner of the restaurant tells me this will really help me gain some insight into the context of life in Taiwan around the time of her parents' generation and certain struggles and things that went on. And so I think this idea of reading a collection of short stories is a great one because there's a variety of different topics. Each one is its own unit, and it will certainly be challenging. It's going to be really, really hard, but what a wonderful sort of doorway into the world of reading books in this new beautiful language to me. Now, I want to address something that a lot of you might be thinking about, right? So I love techniques like extensive reading, where you're aiming to read at a very high level of comprehension, around 98%. And as learners of a language, this typically means we're often reading graded readers or abridged texts, things that have been very specifically designed and written for learners. They're designed to be easier to read and understand, and they're tailored to certain levels. And as I said, I love this, but I like it for certain things at certain times. And for me, at a certain point, I have to take that big giant leap into reading real authentic content that's meant for native speakers. And in my experience, that is always going to mean some level of intensive reading. That means leaving the realm of 98% comprehension, because the fact is, in terms of difficulty level, reading things like novels is very, very challenging. And no matter how many graded readers you read, opening your very first novel in a target language you've been learning it's almost never going to be a 98% comprehension situation. But in my opinion, that is totally okay because there are so many other benefits to this type of reading. And that's why I always try to emphasize that methods and techniques, they are all tools, right? I'm not saying they're all equal. I'm not saying that they all work for everyone. I think that the most effective language learners come to know a variety of tools, and they know what they are good for and what they're not good for, and they know the ones that work for them so that they can apply each of those tools intentionally. So when I engage in extensive reading, I'm doing it for very specific reasons because I know the benefits and I want to get certain things out of that at a certain time in my language learning journey. And by the way, I do have a whole series I did with my good friend Jared Turner on extensive reading, which I'll leave a link to in the description. And even though now I'm going to be trying to read my first ever real native level book in Mandarin Chinese, I will still go back and do extensive reading. I will still use graded readers and things like that for that purpose. It's just that myself personally, I foster a deep level of curiosity as I learn a language and as I advance through the different stages. And so I get to a certain point where it's just time. It's time to just take that leap, to explore, to challenge myself, and just to try, right? And it's going to be hard. And there's a lot of interesting ways to make that content more comprehensible. It's not like something that's really difficult just stays difficult. It's not like you have to approach reading something like this in the same way you would approach reading something extensively, right? There's loads of things that you can do that might work for you and not somebody else, and vice versa, to make that content more comprehensible. And that's part of the journey. But this is why I opened this video by sharing some of these deeply intrinsic benefits to reading authentic content when the time is right. Reading this book may not be as effective if we're purely talking about learning. If we're purely talking about what's the most effective thing to do for learning right now, maybe one of those graded readers on my shelf would be a better choice. But I don't learn languages like a robot. I don't learn languages for purely extrinsic reasons. I don't learn languages purely just to learn as fast as possible. I do this for the deep sense of pleasure and enjoyment and fulfillment that comes from a whole variety of facets of learning languages, right? And this is one of those. And so I just wanted to share that with you all today because I'm very excited about doing this. And that's why I want to now announce round 2 of our Multilingual Book Club. So the first round of the book club was really fun. There were a lot of really good things that happened. We had hundreds of posts on Journaly about it. Loads of people either finished the book or at least started and tried. People that would not have done so otherwise, right? We had some little mini groups forming. It was really fun. But there were also some things that didn't go as well. I've discussed that recently, how I had some really difficult things happening in my personal life, so I wasn't as active. I did read some of the book, I did share my notes on Patreon, but there's no question I was not as active as I wanted to be. I didn't do the live streams I hoped to do, so I want to take that experience and make this one much better. So I'm adding a lot of structure to this. It's going to begin on August 1st, so you have around about a week or so to pick a book. And saying that, one of the challenges is that I want this to be accessible to as many people as possible, and everyone is going to be at a completely different reading level, a completely different place in their journey. And so trying to pick a high-level novel for everyone to try and read, it's just never going to be anywhere near as accessible. And so I would like to try this again in the future, but for this time, I want to invite you to choose a book that you would like to read, something that you feel is going to challenge you. You could do extensive reading too. I would say for this month of August, it's going to be 4 weeks. Maybe challenge yourself to do something a little more intensive, right? And then we can do an extensive challenge after, perhaps. But pick whatever you want, and here are the sort of parameters. Like I said, it starts on August 1st. It's going to run for 1 month. I'm planning on posting on Journaly at least one time per week about my experience. I might post more, but I want to try to at least commit to one post per week. After 2 weeks, so halfway through, we'll do a live stream. We'll talk about how everyone's experience is going. It'll be a chance for some of you to share what's happening, to ask me questions if you would like, get some advice from fellow learners. And we will also do a live stream after the whole 4 weeks. So we get one halfway through, one at the end. Like last time, I will be sharing my notes on the book for Patreon supporters at the cappuccino level and above. I'll have a link in the description to my Patreon page if that interests you. I'll also be doing other behind the scenes stuff for Patreon as well, which should be really fun. You can sign up for the book club at robinmacpherson.co/book club. That's going to be my new personal site. It's still under construction, but I just have a very, very basic page for the book club. If you signed up before, then there's no need to sign up again. You'll get the emails once per week. They'll be very short. They're just a little motivation, something to keep in touch with everybody and keep us all going. And I'm going to be doing a really exciting giveaway. So me and Ryan's my dear friend who I work on Journaly with, we decided that we're going to give 5 people every single week a free month of Journaly Premium. Right now, I can't afford to buy other things to give away. I used to do that. It's really challenging right now, but at least Journaly Premium, that's something that I can offer you and still give value. So anybody who writes a post on Journaly every single week, we will just choose 5 people and give you a free month of Journaly Premium, which allows you to include images inside your post body. So you can make the post a lot more enjoyable, more dynamic, more interesting. And most importantly, Premium allows you to bump your post to the top of the feed if you want more feedback, or if for some reason you don't get feedback. That means we're giving away 20 months of free Journaly Premium. I hope you guys like that as a little extra motivation to just go and write something. So when you do write on Journaly, please use the topic Multilingual Book Club 2, which is also what you can use to filter and find other people's posts about the book club. And last but not least, I will also be posting on Instagram quite a lot throughout. I'm trying to be a lot more active these days on Instagram, so you can follow me there as well. And that's basically it. So I am extremely excited about this. I think it's gonna be a lot better than the first one, and of course, we'll keep doing this. So I'm gonna read as much of this as I can in the first month. It's gonna be really challenging, there's no question. I might even just try to hope I can finish one of these short stories, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to find out. And I'm going to be talking with Jake Gill in Mandarin Chinese every Friday. I'll have all these important dates and times on the website, robinmacpherson.co/book club. So that'll be also fun for those of you who are reading in Mandarin Chinese. And with that, I want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, which is Babbel Live. So Babbel Live is a brand new online tutoring platform brought to you by Babbel, where you can take online classes with certified language teachers in small groups no larger than 6 people. There's a huge emphasis on having fun and speaking, and I actually did a challenge myself where I tested out this product. I took classes in both Spanish and Italian, and I made a whole review on my channel, which you can check out, linked down below as well.
Robin, ¿qué te parece? ¿Alguna palabra que defina valores?
Para mí son cosas que informan todo lo que hacemos en la vida, ¿no?
Bien, me encantaron las 2 definiciones.
And if you want to try Babbel Live for yourself, then there's a link in the description of this video that will actually get you 50% off a Babbel Live subscription. So I highly recommend checking it out. And if you're interested, do use that link to get the discount and get the most out of your money. Thank you very much, Babbel Live, for sponsoring this video. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your day learning languages. I can't wait to see you in the Multilingual Book Club. Let's all have a great time. Let's learn a lot. Let's do this together, and I'll see you very soon.